Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, February 18th, 10:01 a.m. This is the Pat McAfee Show, and surprise, surprise, I am back. Kidding. I'm kidding. Pat will be back within the hour. His plane landed 20 minutes ago. He's got to get his life together, get here, and he has a lot he wants to get off his chest. He's been away, and I know when Pat gets away, he starts itching because he has stuff that he needs to talk about and fill your beautiful ears with much better than I do. By the way, I am Tony DeGilio.
Tony.
I'm joined by all the boys. Nick Morato's playing the music. Ty Schmidt is next to me. Jay's making sure we sound great. Cuban Zeet, Evan Foxy, and Connor's on the phones, which I cannot remember the number off the top of my head because I'm not prepared.
1-833-622-3331.
Thank you very much, Connor. Pat has a lot to talk about today. Like I said, he's going to get touch on Tomlin and Myles Garrett, NFL news, Brady, Rivers, Bridgewater, you name it. We've got it. The Astros, the wild ending at Daytona, his thoughts on the XFL. I think he might rank some commissioners today. So we don't want to step on any of that. So we're going to probably start with something different. But before that, Foxy, Chase Rice.
It's the perfect occasion for a mental vacation from the heart of the nation. Not your medication, 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Thank you, Chase Rice. Like I said, I am Tony DeGilio. I am filling in for Pat for the next 20 to 30 minutes. So just stick with us. Don't turn it off yet. Pat will be here. Everything will be fine. Like I said, Pat's got a lot to talk about, so we didn't want to step on his toes there. So what we thought we would do here is we would kick off the show with a little NBA talk. The NBA All-Star Game just happened. We talked about it yesterday. Everything was great. So now we have the second half of the season. This is when things start ramping up. So I wanted to see, like, if I wanted to pose the question to the group. So it's Lakers, Clippers, and then it's basically the Bucks in the East.
Celtics.
We'll start with you then, Connor. Do you think there's any other teams besides those three that I mentioned that have a legit possible chance of winning an NBA championship this year?
I don't know if they have a legit possible chance, but when you look at what Giannis has done in the playoffs, he hasn't really won that big series yet. And I think the Heat actually have a really good shot with the additions they made with Iguodala, Crowder. They have experience there. In the West, it's got to be, like you said, Lakers, Clippers. The Clippers probably have the better shot now because of the additions they made at the trade deadline with Marcus Morris. Because you look at who they can now throw at LeBron with Morris, Kawhi, Paul George. You can probably even throw Harrell on there maybe. I think it's got to be Clippers and Celtics in the East.
Dyer, your Lakers taking it home?
I still like the Lakers, and I think a big part of that, the team of destiny thing has been coming up, I feel like, in sports more and more. And I really do think with Kobe passing and everything, like, these guys just want it more. Hembo from Get Up did tweet a pretty interesting stat, though. So the Lakers with LeBron have a net rating of plus 10.9, which is better than the 2015-2016 Warriors. But without him, they have a minus 2.9 net rating, which is worse than this year's Bulls team. So LeBron being on the floor is like the difference between a 73-win team and a team that's like 19-36 right now. So that's obviously pretty glaring and not great. But I still think there's a way that they're going to be able to do something to add another piece before the playoffs get here.
Yeah, and you always know you have playoff Rondo, who's a much different guy for that team. Mm-hmm. And also LeBron has not been resting at all. Like, he has not really taken off games for load management this year at all. Mm-hmm. He's averaging, I believe, 35 minutes per game. And at what has he been in the league? 16, 17 years? Like, does that worry you at all that he's playing all these minutes? And everyone's been talking about is how he's been forcing Tony Davis to play through injuries and stuff like that, because people all throughout Anthony Davis's career have knocked him for not being tough and not playing through injuries. And they're saying that LeBron's not forcing him, but motivating him to play through injuries this year. Could that have a cumulative effect come playoff time on both of them.
Well, it absolutely could, but the fact of the matter is, guess what? If both those guys don't play, they're not winning.
True.
So, you know, like they have to play. So, I mean, LeBron's a machine. Like,
he never rests.
Exactly. He is one of the few guys, I think, who can handle this type of load night in, night out, and it really doesn't affect him that much. Like, he'll spend his time in the offseason, you know, recouping and resting and relaxing. He doesn't need to do that right now. And I really do. Again, I think him playing for Kobe and wanting to carry that torch on, like, I think there is something to be said for that.
LeBron also, Tony, you mentioned 35 minutes per game. That's on pace for his lowest in a season. And obviously he's playing point guard now, so he's also on pace to take the most threes and the least amount of free throws in the season. So although he's not load managing, he kind of is on his own, taking a different route than he has in previous seasons.
Yeah, for everything that I always say bad about LeBron, I know that he has a genius basketball IQ, and I know that he can take care of himself and do what he needs to do in the regular season to be prepared for the postseason. So I'm not worried about them. So that in the East, well, actually, let me talk about this. I have a sleeper team in the West.
Let's hear it.
And
Let's go.
You're going to hate it. I think it's the Utah Jazz.
Ooh, Tony.
They're sitting there in fourth place. Everything that I've heard from coaches and stuff like that have been on radio that I've paid attention to a lot of NBA this year, is that they have one of the best motion offenses in the entire league, but they haven't run it. They've been running a lot of ISO so far this year because they're so talented. And if they could get it together and start running more of their offense, that they're going to be an incredible team. But they do have a lot of talent. They have Donovan Mitchell, Bogan,
Mike Conley,
Jordan Clarkson,
Gobert.
That is
Mike
what
Conley.
I love. I love about the NBA, though, because everyone's got Lakers, Clippers, and that's it in the West. But the Nuggets are sitting in second. They're ahead of the Clippers right now, and everyone just doesn't care because, like Ty said, it's like a team of destiny thing. You just kind of know they're not going to get it done.
Yeah, the Clippers are just getting to the playoffs.
Right.
And that's what they're doing. And the one thing knock, I guess, on the Clippers so far is they're saying Lou Williams is having a hard time playing with Kawhi, so they'll have to figure that out. But when you have Kawhi and then you have Paul George at full strength and they're so good on both ends of the court, I think they're automatically favorites in the West. And then obviously with Middleton, what Middleton's doing, Middleton's averaging like 32 points when Giannis is out this year. So what Milwaukee's doing, and they have the best rim protection by far of any with the Lopez brothers and Giannis. No one's talking about Toronto. They just went on a 15-game winning streak.
Right.
Would Kawhi have been better off staying in Toronto?
Path is definitely easier in the East. I mean, there's no doubt about that. There's the quality of teams in the West, I would say, are much higher. But, I mean, again, he'd have to go through Giannis. Would you rather go through Giannis or LeBron? That's the real question.
Well, he's a California kid, too. I think that allure ultimately was, what helped get him there. And, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he'd necessarily – like, he did everything that he needed to do in Toronto. He comes back and then they don't do the same thing. Then you're kind of like stuck there. Like, I mean, if he was going to get out, that was kind of like the perfect fracture point for him to leave.
Yeah, it was after winning a championship. But that was the question that was coming up after that team wins 15 in a row.
Yeah.
Like Nick Nurse is just an incredible coach to
He
get
is.
that team to win 15 in a row. But also, Heat in the East and then Celtics and then everyone's out on the Sixers, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
They can't shoot.
It makes no sense to me. They have so much talent, and they're just not a very good team.
I don't think they like each other
No,
either.
I'm pretty sure
How do you not pick up a
chemistry's
shooter? I feel like there's a
terrible.
lot of shooters available. How do you not get one?
They didn't get him anyone in the offseason. And when they brought in Brand, nope, not Elton Brand. He did
Al
play
Horford.
for the, thank you, Al Horford. Very similar players. Give me a break here. I thought that was a weird move because with Embiid they already have that, and then they can't shoot at all. So that was our NBA coverage for today.
So the significant trade deadline move for the Clippers was getting one of the Morris brothers, right?
Yes.
They're saying that's what's putting them ahead of the Lakers.
Yeah, and I also saw yesterday that there might be a chance that somehow Harkless can go to the Lakers even though he was traded. Like he might. The trade scenario. The scenario was weird how it worked, but sometimes when NBA players gets traded, then they can opt out of being with that team or whatever. There's a chance that the Lakers could get him, which would be a huge play.
I do follow J.R. Smith on Instagram.
Yeah.
He's in the gym shooting. Need him on the Lakers.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, LeBron and JR have a pass. There's a meme about it, so we'll see how that works out. But like I said, I am Tony D'Aguilio. Pat will be back within the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes, so everything will be great. I promise you, just stick around. After the break, maybe a little Daytona Diggs makes an appearance.
All right.
Maybe we'll hit the phones. We'll see. You've been listening to the Pat McAfee Show.
Happening. People are freeing themselves from their wireless contracts. It's a movement towards something simple. Get truly unlimited data on a 5G-ready network for just $45 a month, with no contract ever. Simple Mobile. Out with the old, in with the simple.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. I am not he. I am Anthony DeGilio, Tony Diggs. Pat will be here in the next 20 minutes. We are just holding down the fort until he gets here. We have a lot to talk about today. We got Tomlin and Garrett going at each other. NFL news, Brady, Rivers, Bridgewater. Cam Newton. Got the Astros. The wild ending at Daytona. Pat's going to give his thoughts on the XFL.
Kyle Juszczyk in the
Kyle
second out.
Juszczyk, 11:15, second hour. Had a big Super Bowl. I wanted to start off this with a little bit of Daytona, the crown jewel of the NASCAR season. I watched it last night, primarily because I bet money on it. Used to be a big NASCAR guy, not so much anymore. You know, it just kind of gets a little boring watching cars go around in circles but the ending, the last 20 laps was anything but boring. I don't know if you guys saw any of it. Incredible finish with a horrific crash, a very, very, very scary crash. Thankfully, NASCAR came out and Ryan Newman is in serious condition, but non-life-threatening injuries. So that was good. This is similar to the NBA All-Star Game for me, where the fourth quarter is awesome in NASCAR. If they can make it like that the entire time, that would be incredible. But what these dudes do at 200 miles an hour with someone pushing their bumper the entire time, I can't even imagine, because when I'm doing 80 on the freeway or whatever,
Oh, yeah, white knuckling.
and someone is 3 feet behind you, it's a very weird feeling.
Irritating.
Imagine doing it at 200 miles an hour. The guys are insane. Thankfully, NASCAR, the safety of the cars has improved so much, and things like crashes like that, guys can actually survive now, which is great.
Okay, Tony, I got some NASCAR questions.
Okay.
I know nothing about it. How many laps is the Daytona 500?
200.
Okay, and how long does that usually take?
Well, it started at 4 yesterday. It ended up a little bit after like 8:30, so about 4.5 hours. So with cautions and pit stops and stuff like that, the 500 miles is normally like 4 hours or so.
Okay, and on Sunday it got rained out. How
Correct.
hard was it raining?
Well, it wasn't raining that hard at
2 to 6
first,
inches.
but then it rained a lot after. So they saw the forecast coming for the future, so they decided to push it back a day.
Interesting. Okay, and then you said you bet on it.
Yes.
How do you know who's to bet on?
Well, you look at the qualifying laps. You look at everything that's gone out throughout the week, and
Juniors
Come
racing.
on, Fox.
I enjoyed.
These are actual questions.
I enjoyed the strategy from the Toyotas, so I bet on 4 Toyotas.
Yeah, you got to know who's running the hot engines. You got to know which team's got a lot of money. You got to know who's killing it in qualifying, and you got to know who the good drivers are.
Come on, Foxy.
I don't know this. I didn't know money mattered.
And you know what? I bet on Joe Gibbs' team, former
Always go with Joe
former
Gibbs
Washington
Racing.
Redskins Hall of Fame coach.
I have
So-
a question, Tone.
Yeah.
Why isn't Kia in it?
Who?
The Kia car.
You know what? That's a good question because Kia is a vastly superior
That's what I'm
machine.
saying. Yeah, it would win.
So
Are they scared of
maybe they don't want to. There can't be a monopoly on the sport, so they
Ah,
can't
smart.
have
Oh,
Kia
that
in it.
makes sense.
Wait, did you say who won the race?
Yes.
Who won it?
Denny Hamlin.
Oh, okay.
Jordan.
Was he a big favorite?
Yeah, he was one of the favorites.
He won it for
to
Jordan's
start.
birthday.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, he won it for
He
his
is
birthday.
sponsored by Michael Jordan and FedEx. But yeah, he was one of the favorites. He actually won it last year, Foxy. So he's a back-to-back
Oh,
guy.
geez. All right, good for that guy. That's good NASCAR talk right there.
I know, probably the best NASCAR talk you're going to hear anywhere all day today. Connor, we have any phones?
Oh, yeah. We have Dylan in Indiana who wants to talk NASCAR.
Okay.
Dylan, you're on. Let's bring the heat, brother.
How's it going, Daytona Diggs?
Dylan, what's up, man? What do you got?
Good. I was giving you a little crap on Twitter last night about your bets, but I'm glad you ended up winning.
Yeah, well, that's just a
good
standard
for ya.
nightly thing that you people do. But go ahead. What do you got?
But I was gonna touch on it, but you pretty much addressed everything, so I'm just gonna end it with thank God Tony Stewart's all right, or not Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman. My bad. And
Yikes.
I got a question. Am I allowed to say the H word on air, or is that FCC violation?
Which one?
I don't know what it is, so just don't. And we're going to go
The
to
HE double hockey stick.
Nope, can't say it.
Can't say it. Sorry, man.
Oh, okay.
But hey, appreciate
okay,
the
well,
call.
I won't.
Attaboy, Dylan.
Hey, incredible compliment that he had something to talk about, and we covered pretty much everything you possibly could as far as the NASCAR.
Well, yeah,
went.
no one knows Daytona like you, Tony. We've
No,
been
I mean-
saying it for a while now. No one's really listened, but no one knows Daytona like Daytona
I
Diggs.
grew up watching it because my parents, they were young parents. They had me at like 23, 24. And when they would be hungover on Sundays and napping on the couch, they'd place me in front of the TV and either put golf on or NASCAR.
Well, you know what? NASCAR was hot for a while back then.
It was.
I had the same experience growing up. It was like my parents, all of a sudden, they listened to country music and became NASCAR people out of nowhere. And it's all due to Jeff Gordon. I think.
Rainbow Warrior.
Well, also the Intimidator and, and Junior
for sure.
And Mark Martin.
But there were some personalities back then that you could really latch on to.
And Smoke, Tony Stewart. I mean, there was the glory days. And you know what? It's really fallen off. But,
and I'm sure there are now. I'm sure there's guys that are very personal. But like you never see them.
Guys are getting in fights all the time now. I mean, that's kind of awesome. But that's what's tough about this is, like, at the end of the day, the only thing people are talking about is the Ryan Newman crash.
Correct.
And that's kind of what happens with this and, like, the Indy 500 and things like that. Like, that kind of supersedes everything that happened in the race itself.
There's a lot of sports out there.
Which it should. But
besides football, basketball, sometimes baseball, stuff like that you only talk about the sport when bad things happen.
Exactly.
And this NASCAR is one of those things right now. Connor.
Yes, Tony.
Give me another call.
All right, we have Eddie in Chicago. He wants to talk about the Bears tight end situation, which everyone's talking about right now.
Electric Eddie, go.
Hey, what's up, Tony? Hey, I just wanted to tell you you're doing a good job filling in for Pat.
Thank you.
Attaboy, Eddie.
Thank you. Thanks, Eddie.
Most people don't talk about this, right? But the Bears tight end situation stinks. Trey Burton constantly getting hurt. We got a bust in the draft a couple of years ago as Adam Shaheen. So I was wondering, what do you think we're going to do for the offseason? What tight ends are available?
There's only one option here, and you bring Greg Olsen back to Chicago.
I like that.
I have to.
I do not think he is. I think there are 4 teams are talking with Greg Olsen. I do not believe the Bears are one of them.
I believe it was the Bills, the Redskins, Seahawks, and I didn't hear a fourth.
I'm getting news right now. The Bears are looking at Greg Olsen now.
Oh, come on.
Yep.
Who's your sources?
My left ear.
Eddie from Chicago.
But Zito, did he have a bad parting with Chicago?
The Bears definitely effed him over for sure.
So maybe Greg doesn't want to go back there. But
no, Greg did come out and say he was really looking forward to it, but they did not reach out to him yet.
which is weird because their tight end situation is not great.
Yeah.
But maybe they also realize that they don't have a quarterback that could throw to tight ends.
True.
So there's probably no
True.
point on spending money on tight ends. Speaking of bad teams, Foxy, what's up with the Lions trying to trade away every good player that they have?
That's a great question, Diggs. Darius Slay just wants his money. Doesn't seem like they want to give it to him. Looks like he's on the trading block, and they're asking for a lot, it sounds like, so I don't think he will get moved. But either way, he's not going to be happy, and he's the best corner in the league right now. The stats show it. Since like 2014, he's been the best corner in the league.
Yeah, since 2017, I saw that he has the most pass breakups out of any corner. As far as Pro Bowls are concerned, it's him and Jalen Ramsey as far as who's been to the most straight corners or Pro Bowls. He is one of the best corners in the league, and I don't understand why the Lions, is it maybe because they don't think they're going to re-sign him next year when his contract's up?
Tony,
they try to get value now.
It kills me. Last week, we have our quarterback, our best player, on the trading block, supposedly. And this is a guy that likes Detroit. And then you got Darius Slay this week on the trading block, a guy that likes Detroit. When you find a good player that likes being in the city of Detroit, you hang on to him and you give them whatever they want. I'll never understand it, but that's why I'm not an NFL GM.
How will you feel if they draft Tua, Foxy?
I will hate it.
Because they're talking about them at 3. Seriously looking at Tua.
Listen, I know he's good, but you got a guy that's from Hawaii, went to Alabama. Do you think he's going to be good in Detroit? Also, let me clarify this. He's been injured behind the best offensive line in all of football. You will never have a better offensive line than standing behind the Alabama offensive line. You bring him to Detroit, who always has a pretty terrible offensive line. It's going to be trouble.
The injury concern's a real thing, but playing in Detroit, I don't see how that's in it. You play in a dome.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to live there.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, you could. Franchises have a way of making that work.
There's some nice suburbs in Detroit, aren't there?
There are. Detroit actually, low key, is a nice city. I know no one will ever believe that. You have to go to Detroit to actually understand that. Downtown Detroit's nice, and everyone from Detroit right now is smiling because they know it's true. But you can't move on from Stafford yet.
Well, his family's going to look weird walking around Detroit with Zito's outfit on every single day.
I've seen RoboCop too. That's not true.
It's funny, and I don't know how these quarterbacks, there's some gaining steam now that Burrow really does not want to go to Cincinnati, and he even used the word that he has leverage, which I don't know how he does, but it is weird because in a normal job marketplace, like us coming out of college, we could go pick wherever we want to. But these guys are getting drafted and have to play for teams and for organizations that are perennial, just bad organizations.
Terrible.
And you hear terrible things about them. But that's like kind of what they have to deal with. So there's nothing that they can really do. I mean, I know Eli finagled his way out of San Diego, but other than that, there's not a lot of successful attempts at not wanting to go to a bad team.
No, yeah, I really hope the Lions trade back. I hope someone pops into that third spot, trades with them, takes Tua. We don't have to deal with them. And also, like, I was wondering this. I was going to ask you guys this yesterday because Colts are sitting at 13. They need a quarterback. A lot of teams need a quarterback. Is there anyone outside of Burrow or Tua that we think is going to be legitimately good?
I mean, they're talking about Justin Herbert like he's, the best thing since sliced bread. So we'll see. I think a lot of teams are hot on him.
Yeah, Herbert has all the quarterback
physical tools,
tangibles that you look for. The physical tools. He's tall. He's fast. He's got a good arm.
Big hands.
Big. In Miami, technically, seemed like they were starting to leak information yesterday that they like Herbert better than Tua, but we said it yesterday. We think it's a complete smokescreen.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They're going to take Tua if he's there at 5 or if they have to move up. There's no way. Unless they're trying to tank for the next 5 years more, that they can get away with taking Herbert, I think, over Tua.
This Burrow thing is really interesting because a lot of times guys just come out and just say, "Yeah, I'm happy to play wherever. Let the process play out." He hasn't said that, and now this report comes out. Because you mentioned it, it came out. He was at receiving a Davey O'Brien Award in Fort Worth, Texas. He was at an award ceremony. And he spoke to the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. So, it's like a little local paper there. And he mentioned the Bengals have their process and I have mine, and hinted that he does have leverage. And they were talking about it on Get Up this morning about what that could mean, what that leverage means. And someone suggested that doing it the right way, if he didn't want to be there, not going to the media and saying, I don't want to play for Cincinnati, but going to the organization themselves and saying, look, I don't really want to play for you guys. You should explore trading the pick and then letting Cincinnati basically save face, get a good return for him, and allow him to go somewhere else possibly.
It's weird, though, too, with Burrow because, like, he's not this guy who's been this absolute stud his entire life. And
right. Nor is he a me-first kind of guy where he's, like, wants attention, where you would see typically,
he doesn't seem like it.
A media hog, yeah.
Unless, I don't know, smoking that cigar like that. He definitely knew what he was doing after the national championship. But, like, his dad was a football coach forever, and was coaching at OU. That's why they lived in Ohio. And, like, you would normally the coaches' kids or coach and coaches, like, if you're the father, like, you're going to play where you play, especially if he's from Ohio. Like,
that's why it's just very fishy. He just
maybe them being from Ohio, they just know that organization.
Right. Yeah, maybe that's why it's strange to me he just hasn't come out and said, I'll be happy to play anywhere that takes me. I guess you don't want to put all your cards on the table, so he's playing it close to the vest. I get that, but it's very interesting.
Also, the fishy part that adds to the fishiness is he's working out, or his quarterback coach leading up to for the draft is Jordan Palmer, who's Carson Palmer's brother.
Right.
And Carson Palmer famously retired from the entire NFL because he did not want to play for the Cincinnati Bengals anymore. So that just adds to the whole situation as far as Joe Burrow not going to Cincinnati. But if you get drafted there, I'm pretty sure you have to play there. That's just, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I assume so too. I mean, if you don't, you're not getting any money. I assume. You can't just like get drafted and be like, all right, I'm not going to pay, or I'm not going to play. Now you guys owe me like $50 million.
What's fine because Odell gave him like $2 million on the field after, I think.
That's
so
right.
He can support himself for a little bit. All right, let's go to one more call before we get to a break. 833-622-3331. After the break, good news. Pat will be back after the break. So everyone rejoice. Connor, let's do another call before we go to break.
We got Evan in Michigan who wants to talk about the Detroit Lions.
Oh. Evan's calling from the back room. Evan, what's up?
Hey, good evening or morning, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good morning.
Y'all doing great for Pat. So I think they should keep Patricia for another season, keep Staff, keep Slay, draft that one corner from Clemson, and we can make it playoffs if we don't get injured.
Oh, yeah, so just one quarterback from Clemson. And you know what? The Lions are in the playoffs. You sound like Foxy in the back room.
Whoa.
Foxy, how come you don't call everyone Staff and Slay, dude? Are you not as close?
I like calling him Matthew. I know he respects being called Matthew.
Also, the corner that they're talking about taking is
Simmons, right?
Okuda
Jeff
from Ohio State.
Okuda from Ohio State.
See, I want the Simmons kid. I want them to trade back and then end up getting that Simmons kid.
I think he's more of a linebacker.
He's a
That's good with me,
He's
though.
a chess piece. He will play wherever you want him to play. Connor, one more call.
One more call. All right, let's go to Terry in California. He wants to talk about the Astros.
Oh, Terry, go.
Yo, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Good, you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I just want to talk about the Astros and how they did that poor press conference with, apologizing about how they cheated in 2017, 2019, and Correa's response, and obviously Rob Manfred the other day saying how the World Series title is just a piece of metal. I want to get your guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. Manfred looks like a buffoon.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
The apologies were absolutely terrible. Correa tried sticking up for his teammates, but I think just made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Other players are now coming out, and the anger seems to be building every day.
Yeah, Mike Trout.
Yeah, that's
who never speaks, right?
Well, and he's
never
like
speaks.
universally respected. He's like very good with other players. Yeah, I mean when he's voicing displeasure about it, I mean there should be there should be some sort of punishment. You can't let these guys off without anything, and then on top of it, you can't tell pitchers like, hey, you can't throw at these guys, otherwise you're going to get a more severe punishment that they got. It just makes no sense. I mean, it's complete buffoonery.
Here's a fun game. I believe I saw the odds came out yesterday. I don't know where they came out from. I believe 83 and a half as far as hit batters for the Astros this year. Are you taking
No, hammer the under. That's so many. And if these guys are going to get suspended for throwing at them, like guess what? After the first 2-3 weeks of the season, it's not going to happen anymore.
No, I agree. That's a batter every other game.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Which would be a lot. And I feel like after these guys play these teams one time through, it's going to be over as far as potentially throwing at them.
Well, and I don't even think getting hit by pitch, like you're going to see guys like throwing behind guys and throwing chin music and stuff like that. But that's the same thing. Like if a pitcher throws behind Bregman in one of his first at bats, like guess what? He's probably getting tossed without a warning.
Mm-hmm. And I said this yesterday. If I'm the Astros, you know what? You lean in there and you
it.
take that, and your on base percentage is going to be incredible next season. You get to first, and then you score runs.
Just all start wearing those Barry Bonds arm pads, and just leaning into them.
No, but I mean, there's going to be some retaliation, but nothing like that I think people think it's going to be.
We also have some time before the season starts here. I wouldn't be surprised if some more pressure starts to accumulate and then Manfred is forced to make some sort of decision on a punishment. It's not going to be, they're not going to get suspended for like a season or anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if after, all this stuff continues to come out, players are pissed. He's going to be like, all right, well, we have to do something.
Well, can he go back? Didn't he already give them immunity?
He did, but I mean, he doesn't care.
Seems to be flying by the seat of his pants.
Yeah, exactly. He's making decisions by the minute, so.
He really doesn't. Like I said, Pat's going to be back after the break. He's going to be talking about the Astros. He's going to be talking about the commissioners, Tomlin and Rudolph and Myles Garrett, NFL news, XFL, everything. I appreciate you sticking with us for the last day and a half. We did our best. I promise you we did our best. But everything is going to be so much better after the break. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
At Simple Mobile, you get the no-contract advantage. Unlimited talk, text, and data now for $30 a month. Now on a 5G-ready network with no activation fees ever. No confusion, no complexity, no frustration, and no contract. Ever, ever, ever. Now get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a month. And now 5G ready. It's our best deal ever. Buyers now at nationwide retailers or at Simple Mobile dealers. Learn more at simplemobile.com. Simple Mobile. Out with the old, in with the simple.
don't know. I didn't look into it enough. Oh, welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Just found out I potentially have the coronavirus. Great job by the Diggs there and the team covering last 2 days. AJ Hawk last week. Big thanks to him, that big handsome man. While I was on an island that had coronavirus just permeating through it. Had no idea until I landed there I was potentially getting the modern-day Black Plague, which is good. I do feel as if I could vomit at any given moment, so I'm happy I could bring the coronavirus back to Indiana. It's great to be here, Cuban Seed. I saw about 400 of you in the last couple of days. I thought about you a lot. A lot happened in the sports world. You saw Daytona Diggs was talking there on the way in. I was listening to that. Foxy was asking as many dumb questions as he possibly could.
Yep.
I mean, that was fantastic.
Thank you.
Connor answering the phones. I appreciate you doing that. I don't know if you'll be announcing them on the show anymore. I heard a guy from Eddie from Tampa was deemed a correspondent for this show. I wasn't here. You are not the correspondent of the show. We will not be talking about the XFL in this show anymore, I don't think. Yikes, that was a little aggressive. I'm pretty wide open. I think P.J. Walker's good. That's that wide receiver. The
When did he
quarterback.
change his name?
Yeah, what? Phil.
Yeah.
Was it Phil Walker?
Yeah.
Now it's P.J. He was with the Colts.
Yeah.
Yes.
I seen him with the Colts. So he was with Andrew, obviously. He didn't get picked up till I retired. So whenever I retired, they signed a guy named Jeff Locke, who was the punter for the Minnesota Vikings. He was supposed to replace me. In his opening press conference, he was asked about me, and he said he never saw my film or anything like that. Like, I was the best in the game. You should have watched my film. And he disrespected me in my own press conference, so I didn't like him, right? This is like a week after I left. I shouldn't have got feelings. I'm the one who decided to retire, but the way he was speaking about me, I did not appreciate. So Tom McMahon brought in this other guy from Hawaii named Rigoberto Sanchez. So I told Tom McMahon, I said, hey, I would like to work with Rigoberto Sanchez because I don't like whatever that thing was that was just in a press conference. So I go in there and I start working with him. While I'm there, P.J. Walker was there. He was the backup holder at one point, so I talked to him. Just a brief conversation. Kid was super professional. I saw him do the crossbar challenge from like 45 yards out, like first thing hit it. And I was like, who the hell is that guy? I know we got luck or whatever. Bang, fast forward here a couple years. He's the guy of the XFL, going to become probably a good player in the NFL, if I had to guess, which is good for the XFL, but I'm happy to see him do that. The XFL is going to suffer from the same issues as the AAFL. If their quarterbacks cannot play football at a high level, it's going to be tough. We talked about it with the AAFL. The reason why the AAFL was so tough to watch is because the quarterback stunk. 3 or 4 different weeks, I thought I could potentially go out there and be a starting quarterback in the AAFL. Is it going to get like that for the XFL? I'm not 100% sure, but some of the players that played good in the first week, take complete shots at their coaches. In the second week, they get benched there from the penthouse to the outhouse. I'm excited to see what happens with the XFL, but quarterback play has got to pick it up.
The two teams that are dominating with P.J. Phillip Walker and Cardale Jones are clearly the two best quarterbacks in the league, and that's who's dominating the league.
I think they need mobile quarterbacks, by the way. I think if I don't have Cardale can throw the ball all over the place, right? Great arm. Pep Hamilton calling the plays for him too is also good. P.J. Walker, great arm as well. I mean, he was dropping in the bucket just like the day I saw him hit the crossbar from 45. But if I'm a team, I'm trying to get a mobile quarterback that can run for his life if he has to, right? And I think that's where it needs to start going. I don't know. How'd the ratings do? Did anybody
They haven't come out yet for week 2.
Yeah.
I assume a significant drop from week 1.
Why is that?
Well, that's just how it worked when the XFL first came out. That's what happened in the AAFL. These leagues, people are intrigued because it's football. Week 1, and then they tune in. Week 1 was actually not bad. Week 2, Saturday, I think there was a total of 15 points scored total between the two games, maybe. So it was tough to watch.
Well, they were doing the Defenders and the Guardians as like this big showcase game, like two of the best teams in the league, and then within 2 minutes it was like, oh, the Defenders are 1,000 times better than these guys.
That's because the Renegades were the favorites to win the entire thing, and then we watched them that first week and they were not good. And I think Landry Jones came back and did they win this weekend?
They did.
Good for them. Good for Landry. Good for Stoops. Good for the boys. XFL still happening. That's good.
Yeah.
I didn't watch a single minute.
Well, you're on vacation. I mean,
I watch a lot, though. I watch a lot of stuff on vacation. I was watching people on the Twitterverse talk about us and our podcast and things like that. New one coming out tomorrow. Excited for that. Todd is obviously going on to do his own thing. Heartland Radio Podcast, rest in peace, will now become a new podcast called The Podcast, which would be it's called The Pod.
Right.
The Pod.
Just The Pod.
Which, by the way, Wild news that was open. I would like it to be known. Wild news. The pod comes out tomorrow, which will be a much more free-flowing conversation from the boys. Gary Brackett, formerly of the Indianapolis Colts, will be sitting in with the group. We're filming that this afternoon. We're releasing that tomorrow. Excited for that. We just got a lot to get to here.
It is wild that name was open because for 3 years since we've been here, all we've always said is like, all right, when are we doing the pod? Like, what time are we doing the pod? Who's on the pod today?
Yeah.
The fact that name's open and that's our name now makes perfect sense.
Makes perfect sense. The pod, which was designed by Zito, I think we could have added some color to it, but we're too far gone now. Now we have a new logo.
It's a work in progress. It's on chalkboard.
No, it's done. It's absolutely done. I would like to talk about the Myles Garrett, Mason Rudolph situation. This is so interesting because when it first happened, the first, reactionary, it took over the world. It was a game that everybody was talking. It led off Good Morning America, by the way, in the Today Show. Last night, NFL player Myles Garrett rips off another professional athlete's helmet and then proceeds to bang him in the head like whack-a-mole with it. Like, is the NFL out of control? Is the NFL out of control, right? That whole day of conversation about it, maybe one or two people said, if Mason Rudolph said the N-word to Myles Garrett, maybe, now nothing would justify this particular action, but maybe that's what set him off. But that was not the overwhelming conversation. In fact, the teammates from the Cleveland Browns, none of them said that. All of them said, this is not the Myles Garrett we know. The Myles Garrett we know is a guy that's an in-depth person. He's a person that's well thought out. He's a writer. He's cerebral. He says, we did not expect this from him. We're kind of shocked by it as well. Nobody said anything. And as a human that was in that world for a while, I just have to think that if Mason Rudolph did say what is being alleged that he said to Myles Garrett, that's coming out immediately. That is coming out. As Myles Garrett is getting walked off that field, somebody's like, what happened? He goes, oh, he called me, and then he said, and then the person who's walking is like, well, let's go right back here. Let's go hit him again with another helmet then if that's the case. Like, that is the way it is. And that's why I think Mike Tomlin, who never speaks about anything, Mike Tomlin's the reason I'm in the NFL. Okay, Mike Tomlin, whenever we went to the Steelers-Bills game, came over to me, dapped me up. But Mike Tomlin, I don't want to say he's like family to me, but Mike Tomlin and I are very, very tight. I don't even send out a request for him to be on the show because Mike Tomlin does not do media. He hates media. Absolutely hates it. He'll do the press conferences. He's saying nothing during those press conferences. He is just a guy who likes ball. He likes coaching. He likes doing his thing. And by the way, he is a dude, too. Like, he relates very well with the locker room. He relates with everybody. The fact that he had to come out and do this interview because of this other conversation happening, that makes me believe that there was no chance that Mason Rudolph said this. Now, if Mason Rudolph said this, terrible, despicable, disgusting, not good for white humans to be saying that ever. I don't even care if you're a 12-year-old on the YouTube, you don't know what it means. Not a good thing to say. If you're anything, white people should not be saying that. But I do believe that we're at the point now where I think Myles Garrett is looking worse and worse by all accounts. Like, I don't think there's many people that believe Myles Garrett is right here. I think whenever it came back out after his punishment and then he disappeared, he said, well, he called me the N-word. And then people were like, well, no, that's not true. And then it fizzled away. Everybody's like, okay, bygones be bygones. He's reinstated. Let's just get back in the league, get it going. Now that it's been brought up again, I think it's almost making Myles Garrett's case look even worse. It's almost like, wow, this guy is still making excuses for doing something that nobody has ever done before in football. And it's just kind of a bad situation for the guy. And when Mike Tomlin gets up there and speaks, this is just like Andrew Berry hiring Ryan Grigson, by the way. I trust Andrew Berry. I like Andrew Berry. So if Andrew Berry thinks it's okay to have him in there, I'm cool with it. I thought Andrew Berry should have got the Colts general manager job over Ryan Grigson personally. So that's something that I thought originally. Everybody knows GM Grigson and I did not get along well. He sent me a text. I don't know if it was an apology. I refused to read it, but he reached out to me, so I'm just kind of done with that. But if Andrew Berry hires him, I trust Andrew Berry making that decision, even though it's the Cleveland Browns. I trust Mike Tomlin coming out and saying this, and I don't know if a lot of people do. I do. I think this just makes Myles Garrett look very, very bad. But Mason Rudolph has to fight for his life to make sure the whole world knows that, hey, I am not a guy that's out here saying the N-word. I would never, ever let that leave my lips, because every single time you walk into that locker room, you got a lot of people looking at you like, hey, man, deep down inside your soul, Do you think that we're lesser humans than you are? And that's what it's like in the NFL. I was a minority in the workplace for 12 years, including college. That's just the way it goes. It's a melting pot of humans. You got the wealthiest of wealth. You got people that are struggling to make it from all races. You got people from all over the place coming together. That word is just something that is off limits. It's going to be very difficult for me to think that he said that, especially with Mike Tomlin coming out.
My whole thing the entire time is that
comes out immediately.
When he's walking off the field mad, like, and the players are pulling him off, like he's saying he called me, blah, blah. Like, that's coming out immediately. Not
because even the white people, by the way, on Cleveland were like, well, some bitch deserved it. Yeah. I mean, we got to. And you told a guy he couldn't say HE double hockey stick. We could say hell.
Well, I just was trying to get him off.
Yeah, but as soon as he said HE double hockey stick, you shut the hell up and never call this show again. But it's one of those things where that is a situation where that would have came out so fast, I think. The fact that it's taken this long to come out on numerous occasions, I'm just...
And even still, like, even if he played every card right, trying to hide it, like he said, until the appeal because he didn't want it to come out, blah, 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 it would have leaked. Somebody would have leaked it, just like it got leaked out from the appeal. No one could keep that for that long.
As telling as it is that Mike Tomlin felt the need to come out and go on a national TV show and release a statement, it's also very telling that you have not heard anything from any Cleveland Browns players or the Cleveland Browns organization.
Just Dorsey. You heard Dorsey come out and say, well, he told me immediately.
So
why didn't Dorsey come out and say that?
Correct.
You know why? Because Dorsey was too busy trying to figure out how to get the most undisciplined football team in the history of the game. How do I keep building into this most penalized team in the history of documented history? How do I do that? Instead of like, you know what? My player looks worse than any player potentially in the history of the NFL. That's what I'm saying. He looks so bad. It was Good Morning America Today's Show conversation. At some point, that's going to come out in the first immediate reaction, especially in the world that we live in. The fact that it took so long, everybody's like, nah, I'm not 100% sure.
I think with the quickness that Tomlin responded to this time as well, like last time, I think it was like, hey, the truth's going to come to light eventually. He didn't say it, like then that's going to come out. Now Myles Garrett does this interview again, and then Tomlin, boom, right away is like, all right, this is done. We're not doing this.
Tomlin doesn't want people thinking that he just lets a guy in his locker room, a white guy in his locker room, pop off like that too, right? Like I think that's why Tomlin took this so personally. He's like, listen, if you think that somebody in the world is saying that, we have idiots in this world that say that. Yeah. There's a lot of dumb whites that say that still, I would assume somewhere. You look at it on a lot of these younger social media profiles, there's a lot of young, dumb white kids saying this, right? But Tomlin personally said, you think a guy that's playing on my team is going to say that? You're out of your damn mind. And I think that's why he was like, call him up. Put Stephen A. Smith on a satellite. I'm doing this right from my office, which is what he did. I'm right from my office, and I'm done with it. Great interview by Stephen A. Smith, by the way. Stephen A. Smith, people forget, is like one of the very, very top journalists in the history of journalism, as opposed to being a person that's an electric figure on television. He is a guy. It was a great interview. I really appreciated it, and I honestly think that the fact that it even got brought up was dumb, but the fact that it is, I think we're getting finally some clarification on this whole thing.
I'm also confused at why Myles Garrett brought it up again right after he was just reinstated. If
who's he interviewing with?
Mina Kimes.
Mina's a really good writer too, and everything like that. I wonder if she felt obligated to ask about.
I would assume so.
I would assume she felt. She's like a very good writer, very talented writer, senior writer at ESPN. I'm intrigued to see if she was forced to ask that or felt obligated to ask that, and if he just said, "Yeah, I got to run with it." I don't know. We got to get to a break. Did you read any of these?
No. Well, I didn't, because last time Connor read one that was disqualified.
Whoa. Yeah, that company stinks. Okay, they're gone anyways, I think. By the way, nothing. Jameis Winston got eye surgery.
Oh, yeah.
Classic. That's what everybody thought should happen to Darius Hayward-Bay. When Darius Hayward-Bay came to our team, one guy in the locker room looked at him and was like, you think you need maybe contacts or something? And I was like, that's like one of the most savage things I've ever heard. He did. He needed contacts. I wonder if somebody with Jameis was like, yo, 30 times you threw it to the wrong team. You think maybe we try to figure out what team we're throwing to? He's like, I'll look into it. Good for him. He's all the way back.
There's multiple pictures of him just squinting all over the internet.
Is that my guy? Red, orange, white. Oh my! All right, we'll be back on the other side. We got to read like 6 ads in the second hour. It's great to be back. We'll get to the phones too. You guys are the best. It's a little bit different than the island here, by the way.
I'd say so.
A little bit different. No coronavirus yet. I do think I brought it back. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
One by one, it's happening. People are freeing themselves from the hassle and frustration of their wireless contracts. It's a movement towards something simple. Simple Mobile. Truly unlimited, high-speed talk, text, and data on a 5G-ready network. And no contract. Ever. Get truly unlimited data on a 5G-ready network for just $45 a month. Simple Mobile. Out with the old, in with the simple.
vacation, 2 hours of magic, let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is. Chase Rice. Was he on The Bachelor again? He was trending again.
No, he wasn't.
I saw him trending. I don't know what he did. He did something. It was Chase Rice. It's Tuesday, February 18th. This is Pat McAfee Show. Can't thank you enough for listening or watching wherever the hell you may be. I literally just got off the Hawaiian Islands about 25 minutes. Well, I got off a plane that left the Hawaiian Island like 25 minutes ago. The boys held down the show fantastically. AJ Hawk was great last week. Excited to get back into this thing on the ones and twos. At Nick Moraldo, at Tone Diggs, Ty Schmitz here, Jason McAfee, Cuban Zeet,
how you doing?
Who has more cigars showing up at the office, I think, than any human in history. Every other email I'm getting from CFO Phil is another cigar company trying to set up Cuban Zeet, which I respect and appreciate.
Thank you.
How is that cigar?
It's amazing. It's can I say where it's from or no?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Oh, what was it? Iowa Cigars. Thank you so much.
Iowa Cigars, which, by the way, everybody knows if you're getting a cigar,
You get it from Iowa.
Iowa is the place you want to get it from.
That's right.
At Evan Foxy and Connor is on the phones, 1-833-622-3331. That was a very close shot of Connor Campbell. There's a lot going on in the world. We just touched on it right there at the end of the last hour whenever I came in. The Mason Rudolph Miles Garrett allegations. We think if Mason Rudolph said he's a terrible person, but all signs, and I mean all signs of common sense, which isn't normal in the world that we live in, by the way. Common sense is not normal. I had a guy hit me in the face with his backpack 3 times getting on the plane. It's the same guy 3 times in the face with a backpack before I finally picked it up off of his back and asked me if you'd like me to put it up there. He goes, "Oh yeah, thanks." I'm like, no problem. But there is zero common sense in the world that we live. But all signs of common sense point to the fact that Mason Rudolph did not say this to Miles Garrett, right? I mean, yeah. I feel like as somebody who's been in a locker room, as a human that's been a part of society, as soon as that particular word is said in an aggressive fashion from a Caucasian individual to an African American, not only is it on site, but everybody that happens to be on site knows about it immediately as well. The fact that Miles Garrett got walked off of the field calmly, by the way, after realizing what had happened, after he was getting beat up by Pouncey, whenever Pouncey was particularly on top of him, Miles Garrett could have been saying like, "Hey, you are punching a helmet right now. Why are you doing that?" And then also, he just called me. And then Pouncey probably would have been like, well,
probably turns around and hits Mason.
Probably helps him up and goes, "Wait a minute." That's why I think everybody is so confused by this. That's why Mike Tomlin took the airwaves yesterday whenever he went on First Take to talk to Stephen A. Smith. This is what he had to say to Stephen A. Smith about the entire thing yesterday.
What was your reaction to Myles Garrett's accusation against your quarterback?
The most recent one this past weekend, I took offense to it, to be quite honest with you. When it first transpired during the season, we don't have a lot of time to pause and fight battles of that nature. We said our piece. We were completely cooperative with all parties involved, the Cleveland Brown organization and the National Football League office. And then we had to move on. We had another game awaiting us, and we wanted to be singularly focused. But when these allegations returned this past weekend, I thought it was appropriate that Mason is properly defended. It was a thorough investigation done by us and the National Football League. I don't think that was represented during that piece. These accusations are serious, not only in terms of Mason Rudolph's character, but his professional pursuits. Nobody on that field, as a member of the Cleveland Browns or the Pittsburgh Steelers, corroborated what was said by Myles Garrett. That was founded by us and the National Football League, and at no point during that piece this weekend that was stated. Myself personally, I was on the field immediately after that altercation and subsequently after the game. I got a lot of personal relationships within that organization over there in Cleveland. At no point did anyone within that organization come forward and say, "Mike, heads up, we got a situation here," or something of that nature that you would expect that comes with those type of allegations. So I fully support Mason Rudolph. We as an organization fully support Mason Rudolph.
That's Mike Tomlin never does interviews, by the way. Mike Tomlin is a guy that's very, very, I don't want to say discreet, but he is. He's aloof almost. He does his press conferences, he handles his business, and he keeps it moving. And he said, listen, Myles Garrett, I'm done with you talking about a guy on my team saying something that if he was to say it around me, I would slap the living hell out of him. And I think that's settled right there. I believe Mike Tomlin, by the way. Yeah. I believe Mike Tomlin. Now, is there any reason for me not to believe Myles Garrett? The guy that ripped off another person's helmet and hit him in the head with it? Is there any reason for me not to believe that guy? Personally, I've never met him. Mike Tomlin's the reason I'm in the NFL. Mike Tomlin, I don't consider a friend, but he will dap me up and say hello anytime he sees me. I tend to believe Mike Tomlin in this situation, so it's all she wrote. Myles Garrett's continuing to lie. He's making it even worse for himself. And the Browns are somehow doing Browns things, even whenever they can't help themselves but do Browns things.
Yeah, and the most telling part of that video is him saying, like, I'm pretty close to some people in that organization, and I was on the field right after. If they would have called me and been like, Mike, we have an issue right now.
Incredibly quick. So fast. Mike, listen, white guys have been called crackers on NFL fields since the beginning of time, right? Cracker, by the way, is not a good thing to be called as a white person or for white people to call other white people. I used to substitute, instead of the N-word in rap songs, I would either say kicker, which was too close. You have to be around very, very common friends whenever you do that, right? Like that is something you guys, or I'd say cracker because I thought that was a slang term for a white person. That is a terrible thing to say as a white person. That's actually a whip cracker is what it's a terrible thing to be called. But white people get called that on a regular basis because it's a terrible thing to be called. But the N-word is something that is just off limits completely, not only in an NFL locker room, but in society for all the terrible things that have happened in the past, which, by the way, involve the crackers of the past. So it's just like, it's one of those things where it would end so quickly and come out so fast. That's why I think everybody who has any common sense is like, Myles Garrett, we understand you do the poetry and you have like the things and the stuff like that, and you don't get along with the rest of your teammates. That was obvious in Hard Knocks, and you're an incredible football player, potentially up for NFL MVP, and you had this moment where you lost your mind. But now I think he's got people in his ear telling him like, hey, this is the way we get out of this. This is the way we finish. It's not a good idea. Who?
Kyle Juszczyk?
Yeah.
Jay was just talking into a microphone.
It's the first time he's ever done that.
That was absolutely incredible. Kyle Juszczyk is joining us?
Oh, yeah.
The fullback for the 49ers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You guys booked him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was hard.
We
Called him
got
out. Hey! All right, we'll talk to that. We'll talk to that white guy from the 49ers at 11:15. We'll take some phone calls. Also want to talk about the Raiders preparing to pay Tom Brady $60 million. Does that Davis guy even have $60 million? No, he doesn't.
No.
He had to get rid of everybody that was worth a damn because he had no money. That's an actual thing that had to happen. I got to get out of here.
Maybe all those suites now in Vegas.
I know they made like $700 million or something off of the licenses to potentially buy season tickets, but $60 million. That's just a quick little double up of what the Patriots said they were going to have. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon texted Tom Brady last night and said, "Where are you going?" He just responded with a shrug face. If he leaves, this is the most savage departure of a player from a team. The most savage. This will, I think, tenfold of the decision from LeBron James.
Yeah.
Tenfold.
For sure.
Because LeBron did it on ESPN. I think young LeBron was trying to raise money, trying to make it a big spectacle. I think ESPN helped him make it a big spectacle, and then ESPN consequently buried him for it. I mean, it was a very interesting thing. But in my eyes, if Tom Brady was to leave the Patriots now, it is just like the deepest knife being stabbed right through all of New England. And boy, there's going to be a lot of people happy to see it. There's going to be a lot of people.
He's kicking us in the nuts. If he does this, he's kicking New England in the nuts. The decision was an hour. This Brady thing is a month and a half. Much different.
When's the last time you were driving through a storm and thought, wow, I love not being able to see when I drive? You probably haven't. Now driving in bad weather doesn't have to be a headache thanks to the new Michelin Endurance XD silicone wiper blades. These blades last through everything to prove it. Michelin just put their new Endurance XC silicone wiper blades to the ultimate test on a world record-breaking 16,000-mile drive from Alaska to Argentina to show just how durable these blades are. Rainier Zeitlo.
Good guy.
Great driver.
Great driver.
Hell of a name.
Hell of it. Name aside, it is good. Human aside, he is good. The driving aspect of Rainier Zeitlo is just next level. And when he gets behind the wheel, that means it's time to handle business. He put the Michelin Endurance XC silicone wiper blades through ice, snow, rain, thunder, and wind, and the blades took all of it. These blades are crafted for extreme weather performance with an advanced Quad-Tech 4-layer coated that repels water, snow, and ice and lasts 2 times longer than other blades. The Michelin Endurance XC silicone wiper blades are real-world proven for extreme weather performance. Upgrade to the Michelin Endurance XC silicone wiper blades today only at Walmart. Who the hell is Rainier Zeitlo, by the way? Does anybody know?
No idea.
He means business. He drove 16,000 miles. Alaska to Argentina. We got a guy from Harvard who runs his head into other people on the other side. It's Cal Juszczyk. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show.
At Simple Mobile, you get the no-contract advantage. Unlimited talk, text, and data now for $30 a month. Now on a 5G-ready network with no activation fees and no contract ever. That's our best deal ever. Simple Mobile, out with the old, in with the simple.
Zito, have we called him?
We have called, but we're having problems with the FaceTime right now.
Has he answered?
I think he's on the phone right now. It's like doing something weird I've never seen before, but
I was going to go after him for being a Harvard guy that's late. I just assume that that's not what happens with Harvard people. I don't think we've spoken to an Ivy League human on here, have we?
No.
This is our first Ivy
Fitzpatrick.
Ryan
a while
Fitzpatrick,
back.
sorry. Yep. I don't think he's been on this show, has he?
No, I don't think so.
No, he just golfed with us.
He's a friend, though.
What the hell am I going to talk to this Juszczyk guy about it, by the way? Take your time. I had no idea this was happening. I got a lot of questions. He's a fullback in the NFL.
Economics.
I got a lot of those, by the way. I got a lot of. People are going to be very surprised whenever they read whatever Wall Street Journal or whatever is probably about to come out about me in probably the next month or so. I did some big things in Hawaii. It was hard not to walk in here and just be full heel and just tell everybody to go eat a big. And like the FCC almost just caught one right there. Like I was just let the FCC eat one there. Let me know whenever we get the Brainiac Cows Juszczyk. The Houston Astros are a big bag of shh.
Yep.
I almost just let it eat right there. I knew this whenever I met a guy named Randy.
Oh, yeah.
Who worked for their ticketing office. You remember this? Whenever we went to the World Series. And they were cheating in this World Series, I'd assume, that we went to. Yeah. The only reason they were in this World Series is because they were a bunch of scumbag cheaters, okay? Their fans, by the way, I'm not talking about their fans. The fans are victims in this thing as well because they were cheering for what they thought was a wholesome, good... Jose, 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 Jose. Our underdog story. Our tiny little guy that really was the little engine that could. This guy that would take a bat and slaughter baseballs out of the house. He's ripped up like an Instagram model. He was a hero in Houston. Houston, you've been lied to just completely. And the Astros fans are a diehard fan base. We sat amongst them very high up because the Houston Astros lost our tickets where we were supposed to be. Then a guy named Randy doesn't even introduce himself to me, introduces himself to Hasselbeck, who was my guest, Randy. Didn't even introduce it. I hated the Astros. I hated the Astros. Immediately upon walking, sitting outside for an hour and a half, didn't get in for. And then this guy named Randy, who was he was an executive there, he stunk. Then you learn about this other guy stinking. And then as it continued to unfold, you're like, oh, this Astros team just is a complete bag of they just absolutely suck at everything. And then the more and more that gets released through this whole thing, the worse they look somehow. This is like Myles Garrett coming back saying that Mason Rudolph did this, right? Now, if Mason Rudolph did this, we all agree that he is a despicable Caucasian human that does not represent the large majority of white people who feel that word is absolutely terrible. But all signs of common sense say that he did not say that. That the old Rudolph fella did not say that to Myles Garrett. I mean, just anybody with a brain is thinking that. This Astros team, whenever it was the banging on the cans, everybody's like, oh, clever. Okay, all right, clever. You got the catchers wearing, they're painting their nails a little different color. It's a little game trying to hide the signs. At second base, they go and talk. They do the cover of the mitt over the mat. The whole thing, it's like, oh, this is games and shit. I don't really know. I played professional once. I don't really know baseball that well. The banging on the things. Talk to Tucker Barnhart. Tucker Barnhart, who's the catcher for the Reds, he was like, if they're just banging on the things, if the catcher can't hear them banging on garbage cans and giving away the sign, that's on the catcher for not. And then as it continues to go with the buzzers on the systems and the robots figuring it out and all this, they're just a despicable bunch of scumbags down there at the Astros organization, right? I mean, that's just what is rolling out. The pitchers who were watching their friends who were other pitchers just getting blasted and slaughtered in their own house without ever saying anything, they're even in on this, right? So everybody's in on this, and now their apology was trash. Their apology, the one guy comes out and says, oh, so we cheated to win? They didn't leave a hanging curve that we took out in the seventh or whatever on the road or whatever. It's like, oh, so now you're trying to stick up for the good that you did while obviously winning from cheating. I mean, it's just every single thing they've done was terrible. And I'm like, you know what? Nothing can be worse than the Astros. And then this Manfred guy talks. Yeah. Then the commissioner of the whole league talks. And I'm like, how is this buffoon a commissioner? These are the types of things, by the way, that we have learned as we've gone up in this business world. And by the way, we are very high in the business world now. Just announcement hasn't been made. We are a 9-figure valued company. Okay, so everybody needs that's just something that's happened. We are a 9-figure valued company. Okay, so as we move, and by the way, not only was I calling games on Get Up, on College Game Day, having my own daily show, I was also running a business that is currently being valued at 9 figures. It's very hard to stay humble. It is very hard to stay humble, but these are things that are happening in my life. Vacation in Hawaii was nice. I was on the phone for like 90% of it trying to figure things out. My lady Sam is very excited. But as we move up this business world and you get a peek behind the curtain, you realize a lot of idiots running things, a lot of absolute buffoons running things. And I think Manfred is just now the picture of that. If that guy can become a commissioner of the league, guess what, kids? It doesn't matter how dumb or stupid you are. You can be the commissioner of the MLB, which might be a league that's dead within the next 5 years anyways.
When he's been interviewed in these things and he takes no responsibility. He get handed out no punishment.
And he's got no bass in his voice either. I just want to slap him and be like, you have a little something. You're the commissioner of a damn league that is already fading into irrelevance, that is already going into an abyss of fake. That guy's an idiot. Anyways, that makes me feel good. That's the type of thing. Not only is it kind of like saddening whenever you look behind the curtain and see that idiots are running things, it's inspiring as well. You're like, you know what? If that dumbass can do it, I can do it. And that's how I feel about a lot of things. And Manfred now has just been added to that list. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm a commissioner of a league someday if that dumbass can do it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. It's been said 1,000 times. Like, I don't know how it was possible that these guys could somehow look worse at every every turn in the road, but they are. And yeah, he is one of the biggest buffoons in America. I mean, you call the pinnacle of your sport like, well, it's just a piece of metal. We don't need to get that back from him. And then immediately players are like, actually, this guy is a moron. Like, it means a lot more than that. I don't know. I mean,
all right. Well, let's just. For the time being, let's just act like whenever you win your league's championship, it is just a piece of metal. Guy joining us didn't get a chance to win a piece of metal, but he was up for it. Fullback for the San Francisco 49ers, a man who is a 4-time Pro Bowler, a Harvard guy, handsome as hell. Had no idea you were that attractive, Kyle Juszczyk. How's
it going? What's going on, man? How you doing?
I was just steamrolling that Manfred guy, the MLB commissioner. Have you kept up with any of this and how terrible it is?
You know what? I haven't. I've never been a big baseball guy, so I'm not really even sure what's going on.
Oh, me neither. The only time I pay attention was when they do something dumb. Love the steroid era whenever the big buffoons were hitting balls all over the place, and then that obviously came crashing down. And then now they got buzzers and signs telling them. Anyways, it's a nightmare situation. Let's pivot against that. Kyle, what are you doing this offseason? You're a Harvard grad. I assume you're just starting a bunch of companies, investing in money and all that stuff?
Yeah, a few startups, been on Wall Street all week. No, you know what? My wife and I got a new house out in New York, so we've been moving out here and just kind of getting settled in.
Are you from New York? Is that why you moved back there?
No, I'm not. Her family is.
Oh, you're a gentleman. That's very nice.
Yeah.
Hell of a season for you this year.
Thank you.
The 49ers, at the beginning, the defense was the big thing, and then obviously the offense came into play. I think that New Orleans Saints game was the coming out party after the Baltimore Ravens loss. If you had to look back on this season, what was your overall takeaway from it, and how did Shanahan address it the day after the Super Bowl loss in the wrap-up meetings?
Man, looking back, I think you can't not think it was a great season. I mean, we were a 4-12 team last year, and to go 13-3, win the NFC Championship, and unfortunately lose it, in the last 6 minutes there in the Super Bowl, it definitely puts a huge damper on it. But Kyle did a good job in addressing the team a few days after when we had our exit interviews, and really made me feel a lot better, put a lot of things to rest. And he just kind of went around the room. He had some of the veterans speak about what was different about this team than teams they've been a part of before. And the common theme was just that, man, the camaraderie in this group was just different. There just never seemed to be a task that was too tall for us. We always had each other's back. We genuinely enjoyed working with one another every single day. And everything that we did that year, there was a huge accomplishment. So that made me feel a lot better, after that tough loss.
It's the X factor that doesn't get talked about enough. I've been a part of a team that was very, very good. and they 100% revolved around the type of guys that they bring into the locker room, right? Bill Polian, Peyton and them, they had their set crew. It was Peyton, it was Saturday, it was Gary Brackett, it was Reggie Wayne, it was these guys, Dallas Clark, Joseph Adai, you name it. It was that crew, and then you bring people into the culture, right? And they're like, we got to. Then I was on a team where they were just looking at who was the fastest, who's the strongest, who is this, and you miss out on that camaraderie level that really takes your team to the next level. And I don't think it ever gets talked about enough, honestly.
No, I totally agree with you. I don't, and it's hard because how do you calculate that? You know, it's easy to look at somebody's 40 time. Okay, he's better than the other guy because he's faster. Well, I mean, there's no way to calculate or put into numbers what kind of camaraderie, what kind of attitude you bring to a locker room. You know, people, you know, when we traded for Emmanuel Sanders, for example, people very easily could have said, "Oh, this guy's 32 years old. You know, he hasn't had a great year in Denver. What is this guy going to add to you know, an offense that needs some good receivers?" But man, he brought more than just the talent that he brings. He's a tremendous talent. He's our man-to-man beater. He's our go-to guy when it comes to those kind of things. But the camaraderie and like the attitude and the leadership that he brought to the locker room, I don't think you could ever calculate that or people truly understand what he did for our team and for our offense and for that wide receiver room. So I feel like he's a great example of, you know, it's not always about the numbers you see on the sheet, but there's a lot more intangibles that come into play.
Let's talk about some of those numbers that did show up on the sheet. You guys rushed for 186 yards before contact. Before contact in the NFC Championship game against the Green Bay Packers. Was that a game, at what point as a fullback for a team that's doing that, do you go, man, we can do whatever the hell we want today? Is that like mid-first quarter? Is that first play? When do you guys start realizing like, hey, Jimmy, we appreciate how handsome you are. We appreciate all the routes that you can throw, but we are just going to run this down their throats. And as a fullback, that has to feel damn good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think there was a drive where we had 8 plays and all 8 of them were run plays and we finished in the end zone. So once you do that, you really do have that mentality. You're all looking at each other like we can do whatever we want. And that's, I think that's the competitor in you. And I think that's what really, I don't know, that's what motivated our offense. Like once we start running the ball on people, you just get this confidence about you, this energy, and it's from top to the bottom. Like our wide receivers are feeling it. They get a good block, they're chest bumping each other after the play. And I feel like that's really what drove our offense this year is running the ball, getting that confidence and that feeling that, man, we can really do whatever we want.
I feel like you're not that large of a guy. Is it leverage? What is it? Is it everything leverage?
No,
yeah.
You're absolutely right. I'm not your stereotypical the fullback. I don't weigh 260 pounds. I played this season really at 230 pounds, and it really is. It's leverage. It's using speed. It's angles. Using a defender's rules against them. You know, I know when an inside linebacker, whether he has to have inside or outside leverage. And I can use that to my advantage. If I know he needs outside leverage, well, why don't I just keep taking a little bit wider? He's got to match me because he has a rule. He has a job to do, and that's to keep that outside leverage. So let's make that even wider, and that just makes the hole bigger for the back behind me.
That's that big brain of yours. Do you love or hate the fact that anytime anybody talks about you, they go, this guy went to Harvard? Like, do you enjoy that or hate that?
It's definitely a double-edged sword. There hasn't been a day that I've been in the NFL that it hasn't come up. But like I said, it's double-edged. It can be used for me. It can be used against me. So if I'm going to speak up in a meeting room, I better have the right answer. Otherwise, it's going to be used against me.
Yeah. By the way, if you ever around us and there was a question asked and you answered, you'd be like, all right, well, that guy went to Harvard. There's a lot of pressure. What was it like to go to Harvard and play football? Was it as similar to other people's experiences? I would assume it was very different than mine. I was drunk 6 days a week, and I would assume you were not.
Yeah, it's tough to say because I didn't get to experience, those big schools. But from what I've heard, there actually are a lot more similarities than you might think. Harvard does like to party. We like to let loose on the weekends and enjoy ourselves. There's a lot of tension during the week, a lot of stress that needs to be blown off. So we have fun. But honestly, it was different in that we're at the highest level of academics. And we're a Division I football program, so it's not like we spent any less time doing football than the Ohio States, the Georgias, the USCs, any of that. The time was still there. So you had to still be able to find time for academics, for a social life, which was honestly the toughest part. And the biggest tool I learned from going there was time management.
What did you major in?
Economics.
What are we going to do? Are you going to do Wall Street? Is that what you're going to do? Are you going to be a Fortune 500?
No, not. Yeah, honestly, I have zero interest in economics whatsoever. Post football, I'll probably get involved in real estate because it's something I already do now. But I don't know how much that economics degree is really going to come into play.
Your Harvard degree will do. Hey, Kyle, your Harvard degree would do just fine, I think. Super Bowl ring would help too, but I think you guys are setting yourselves up to do that. Is the core of your team coming back next year, and how do you feel about going into next year with the Niners?
Yeah, it sure seems like it. That was another one of the main themes of Kyle's exit interview or exit speech to us, and him and John Lynch, was that he wants to keep this group together. Obviously, we know in the NFL it's pretty much impossible to keep everyone, but they definitely want that core because we feel like we have the recipe for success. We have a dominant defensive front that makes it tough for any offense to score a lot of points. And then we feel like we have an offense that we can give it to you however you want. We've won games throwing the ball. We've won games just running the ball. And then I know you'll appreciate this. We feel like we have a phenomenal special teams. Yeah. I mean, our rookie punter was phenomenal this year. And, Robbie has a long career of, great kicking stats. So we feel good about that. But no, I think we really feel good about the crew that we've put together and what we have going forward. And I think really John and Kyle are just going to add to it in the draft and free agency. And I don't see why we can't be an even better team.
We're a nationally syndicated sports talk show, so we had to talk about the potential of Tom Brady becoming a Niner and Jimmy G being traded to the Patriots. That was quickly snuffed out as completely false. So we had to talk about it. It was something.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
No, but can you tell us about Jimmy G as a quarterback? Whether it's in the huddle or the locker room, or what is he like? Because he seemed like this guy who's just like Tom, like very calm, very cool. And if he hits that one deep ball to Emmanuel, by the way, we have all forgotten about the deep ball he hit to George Kittle that got screwed over in the first half. But if he hits that one deep ball to Emmanuel Sanders in the second half of the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, it's a completely different conversation happening about Jimmy G right now than it is everywhere else. But what is Jimmy G like as a quarterback, as a leader, as your guy?
Yeah, completely different. Like you said, he's probably leaving there as the Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl champs. He's the next Tom Brady. It's going to change that narrative completely.
Yeah.
But that's football. It really does come down to a couple plays, and we're judged by those plays in critical moments. But the great thing about Jimmy is that I know all the criticism that he's getting right now, it really doesn't affect him. If anything, it just motivates him. He does such a phenomenal job of just blocking out that noise and really just keeping it to what matters to us, to what his teammates think of him, what his coaches think of him, and just how he's able to run this offense. Jimmy has just been, since the first day he got there, there's something about him that just commands respect. He has this aura to him, just the way he carries himself. He's just a guy that really puts in the work, and someone that we all follow, really just because of the way he leads by example. So Jimmy really doesn't have anything to prove to anyone in our facility. I know people outside of it still, question things about him, but we have 100% commitment and belief in Jimmy.
Most handsome guy you've ever seen?
Definitely top three.
Oh. Does he know that you don't? Does he know that you think he's just top three? Does he know that?
I'd hope he still take that as a compliment.
What is the off-season workout for you? What is an off-season workout for you? Do you take a couple months? Do you take like a month off here, let the body recover, and then get back into it, or do you kind of have to do your thing?
Yeah, you know what? This is a new experience for me. I haven't played into February before, so I'm kind of taking it as we're going. Right now, for the month of February, I'm outside my gym right now. As soon as we're done talking, I'm going to go in there. I'm just doing like 2 or 3 days a week right now. Nothing too intense, just still trying to keep the body moving. I can't just sit on the couch for too long. I really just start to feel terrible about myself. So I like to keep it moving. But beginning of March is when we'll really start to ramp it back up again. I'll start going 3 or 4 days a week and really start throwing the weight on, my sprints and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, well, Kyle, I appreciate the hell out of you, man. You're a great player, dude. You're a lot of fun to watch.
Thanks, man.
You're not really a fullback, but you're like a running back that they put at fullback. So I respect the fact that you're keeping the fullback name alive and that you're an absolute stud and you're willing to put your nose out there. But your athleticism, you've really transcended the position of fullback, I think.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Again, the fullback term is kind of gets used as a double-edged sword for me as well.
Yeah.
If I don't run a good route, oh, he's just a fullback. But if I have a crushing block, oh, he's a fullback. So
hey, it's not a bad thing to use
it. It's a difficult term.
Yeah, it's not a bad. Who do you run with? Do you run with the speed group or do you run with like linebackers?
Mix it up. Usually, I would say most of the time with the linebackers and tight ends.
Smart. I used to run with the offensive linemen. That's all.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, 4-time Pro Bowler, fullback, absolute stud, and a man who graduated from Harvard, Kyle Juszczyk. Thank you, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, you got to come back. You're really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to.
What's that 100% Juice? Is that a company you own or no?
Yes. Go check it out. Juice44.com.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
What is it?
Get you a hoodie.
What is it?
It's just a juice box.
So
with my name on it.
Oh my God, your nickname is the Juice. Your nickname is Juice?
Yes.
These are things I should have known. I just got back from Hawaii. I didn't know. Your nickname is Juice. So what is the website? Juice44.com?
Yep.
J-U...
You trying to spell juice or my last name?
That's what I don't know. Is it JUICE44.com?
Oh, yeah, it's JUICE. Yeah.
Okay, juice44.com. We're buying a hoodie. It's going up right here.
There you
I'm
go.
getting a hoodie right here.
Love it.
Look at the swag. I didn't know we had this much merch. Look at this. Okay. Hey, that's that Harvard brain coming into use. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Juszczyk.
Yeah, you need yourself on.
Appreciate you, Juice. Oh, God.
Thanks, guys.
Smart guy.
Yeah.
Smart guy.
Juice44.
Would have never guessed he looked like that.
Very handsome. Very, very handsome.
Yeah.
And by the way, the fullback thing, I could see how, now granted, he gets into the Pro Bowl because he is a fullback, right? Which is awesome. Like Dwayne Allen, for instance, was a tight end, but they listed him as fullback one year, and I think he made the Pro Bowl as a fullback because there wasn't a lot of fullbacks. So it's like, it's one of those things. He is a weapon, that guy. He's a full H-back, that guy.
That's what I was about to say. He's more of like when Chris Cooley was like the H-back. That's his role pretty much.
Good guy, too. Moving out to New York for his lady. Juice44.com. Let's go buy some stuff. Hiring the right people is one of the best ways to help grow. Remember, we got to read a bunch of these. Did you guys read any last week?
No, they didn't send any last week.
They wouldn't let me. They wouldn't let me read them. I tried.
We ended up with some phone calls. Maybe not. No, I don't know. James at Daytona wants to talk about the crash in the race. Newman, by the way, Indiana guy.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Ryan Newman.
Purdue, right?
Happy he's all right. Yeah. A lot of people talking about that crash. Look up Scott Dixon's crash at the Indy 500 like 3 years ago. Those things are so scary, man. These dudes and ladies are just strapping themselves to rockets. Beat drop. Hiring the right people is one of the best ways to help grow your business, but it shouldn't take time away from your other priorities. With LinkedIn Jobs, it doesn't have to. LinkedIn Jobs screens candidates with the hard and soft skills you're looking for so you can hire the right person fast. Things like collaboration, creativity, adaptability. LinkedIn looks beyond the work skills and puts your job post in front of qualified candidates who match your business requirements perfectly. That's how LinkedIn makes sure your job post is seen by the people you want to hire, people with the skills, qualifications, and other interests that will help your business grow. It's no wonder a person is hired every 8 seconds with LinkedIn, and why companies rated LinkedIn Jobs the #1 hiring platform for delivering quality hires. Good for them. Find the right person for your business today with LinkedIn Jobs. You can pay what you want and get the first $50 off. Just visit linkedin.com/Pat. Again, that's linkedin.com/Pat to get $50 off your first job post. Terms and conditions obviously apply. Don't be stupid. We're back on the other side. More conversation. Big shout out to Juice44. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
It's happening. People are freeing themselves from their wireless contracts. It's a movement towards something simple. Get truly unlimited data on a 5G-ready network for just $45 a month, with no contract ever. Simple Mobile. Out with the old, in with the simple.
If you're listening to this show right now, I want you to take a second to look down at your crotch. When was the last time you shaved your junk, huh? It's been a while, don't lie. Let's take a second to thank our sponsor, Manscaped, for holding you accountable to get rid of the funk and to shave your junk. Guys, our confidence comes from our pride and joy, and when you trim the bushes, the tree stands taller. It's an accurate statement.
Oh, yeah.
For no other reason than that. Cuban Zeke and the boys back there, you guys should start shaving your junk. Because when you trim the bushes, the tree stands taller. You want a little shrub, or you want a redwood down there? Use our friends at Manscaped to get the Lawnmower 3.0, this brand new packaging that includes the best electric trimmer there is. The third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to prevent manscaping accidents. Millions of testes are about to be nick-free thanks to Manscaped's advanced skin-safe technology. The Perfect Package 3.0 also includes anti-chafing performance boxer briefs that keep your package cool and smelling fresh all day. For on-the-go freshness, you'll love the Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray. This is the perfect package for your perfect package. There's no way we're allowed to say this stuff. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code America at manscaped.com. Do yourself a favor and always use the right tools for the job. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code America at manscaped.com. That's 20% off free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code America. Your partner and your family jewels will thank you. Get a redwood down there. Shave up the trees. Mark in Sacramento, what's up? He's a little bit behind.
How's it going, Pat? How you doing?
Mark, I'm great. Back in the saddle. Feels good to be back. Live mic, talking to you in Sacramento about God knows what.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Well, I'm the only Chargers fan on the planet right now, it seems like. So I'm just going to give you 100% ratings from all Chargers fans around the globe right now. So we all support your show. But what I really wanted to say is that the Chargers are going to make a trade for Cam Newton with that second-round pick that we have. And then we're going to use our first-round pick for an offensive lineman. We're not going to get Tom Brady. And if that falls through, we might trade for old Matty Stafford over there in Detroit land. You know, give Foxy something to hope for because he ain't got no hope right now.
I like it. I actually like that idea, by the way. Cam Newton and the Chargers would be cool. You get Cam Newton in Los Angeles. I assume Cam would like that. Mm-hmm. He's still got, 6-7 years of good football left if he really wants to. Got to go to a new place, put a new chip on his shoulder, prove himself. I like that thought of actually Cam Newton to the Chargers, but Cam Newton could end up anywhere, as could Tom Brady at this point.
I don't even know if you would have to do a second. Might be able to do a third for Cam.
Easy, dude.
I'm just saying.
It's MVP.
Bro, what's your problem, dude?
Just saying.
Why are you saying?
Guys have been healthy in 4 years.
2 years. Ron Rivera got fired because of it. But Ron Rivera said to us on this show that if Cam Newton is healthy, look out. Mm-hmm. And he said he hasn't been healthy for 2 years. He's going to be healthy again. Is Matt Rule just going to hang on to him and be like, hey, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back? Is that what he's going to do? Full evaluation. He said it has to happen before draft and combine. I'll be excited to see if Cam Newton's healthy. And I think there's going to be a lot of suitors for him. I wouldn't be surprised if old LA tries to be getting a run for him.
Came out yesterday. They expect him to pass his physical in March.
By the way, what if the Chargers go with P.J. Walker?
Hey, they might.
What if the XFL becomes the premier quarterback scouting league?
It might be.
It's possible. Get Matt McGloin out there. What a buffoon, by the way. What an absolute buffoon. He had a good first week, too.
Oh, yeah.
I watched him that first week. He throw a couple balls, and I was like, okay, so they got a quarterback. New York's got a quarterback. There's a couple teams that got a quarterback because going in the league, all we said was if they have a quarterback, they're in a good spot. If they have quarterbacks, they're in a good spot. Because we've all seen football with bad quarterbacks. It's not good football. That's just the way it goes. That's why quarterbacks get paid $700 bajillion, and that's why every other position on the roster has to wait for the quarterback to get paid before you can get paid. Even if it's a year in advance, they'll tell you, oh, we can't pay because we got to pay this guy. So you got to take $6-7 million cheaper because we got to pay that person. Doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter. We got to pay this guy. Matt McGloin looked like he was potentially going to be a guy, and then he says this going into half. We don't have the clip.
It was a photo.
You just had a photo?
I don't know if we're allowed to play those.
You just had a photo of a guy?
I'm a big photo guy.
How is a blurry photo of a guy right before an interview going up there? Now, granted, this is my fault for not being here for the pre-show meeting, and I was on a plane technically whenever that was happening. But you, Zito, thinking that a blurry photo right before him saying that he wants to be benched, basically, was the right move. We got to talk. Okay, Cuban seat, that's a miss.
That was a Cuban seat move.
You don't normally miss. Let's go to James in Daytona. What's up, James?
Hey, what's up, Pat? Good morning. That race yesterday was incredible.
Not bad.
I think everything that happened between Trump yesterday or Sunday, having a 4-hour line period between that and going through Secret Service to get rained out after 20 laps was horrible, but that wreck after everything that happened was horrible. Ryan Newman in the stands were quiet for at least an hour.
All right. That was good Daytona breakdown.
Yeah.
I didn't watch Daytona. I feel like I just got a piece of it right there. I had no idea there was a 20-minute delay. There was a delay on rain?
There was a whole day. Yeah.
I did not know that. And that's why they raced on Presidents.
Yep.
Okay. Makes sense. By the way, the Air Force One flying 800 feet above the stands. Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
You did not see that?
No, I saw his car.
Oh, you saw the beast.
I saw the beast.
You didn't see the flyover?
Oh, yeah, he buzzed the tower.
Oh, he buzzes the thing. 800 feet above the thing. He flew the entire length of the track, 800 feet above it, and then just goes ahead and pulls off and lands that thing and comes back in the beast. Takes a hot lap. Imagine if that thing, oh my God, imagine if that thing accidentally
nicks something.
Oh. By the way,
it is.
Hello, can I explain flag? It's great to be back. It's great to be back. Trenton, Indiana, what do you want to say, man?
Hey, Pat, how's it going?
Not bad. Well, we ain't got time, Trent. He said if XFL quarterbacks could be loaned. I don't think any of them are going to be loaned, but I'll be excited to see what happens with this league. We got 20 seconds. Going to chit-chat about it tomorrow. What are we going to talk about tomorrow? We've got a lot of things to talk about tomorrow.
All the NFL quarterback news that you missed.
NFL stuff, this stuff, that stuff, the good stuff.
Some of the other stuff.
So much stuff tomorrow. This has been the Pat McAfee Show.
No, I saw the beat.
At Simple Mobile, you get the no contract advantage. Unlimited talk, text, and data now for $30 a month. Now on a 5G-ready network with no activation fees ever. No confusion, no complexity, no frustration, and no contract. Ever, ever, ever. Now get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a month. And now 5G ready. It's our best deal ever. Buy yours now at nationwide retailers or at Simple Mobile dealers. Learn more at simplemobile.com. Simple Mobile, out with the old, in with the simple.